guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Priya, and if you're here for the first time, I'm a newly qualified doctor working in the UK. This video is the second part of my first day as a doctor. So if you haven't watched part 1, do head down to our channel and click on part 1, watch it first and come back so you can follow the story a bit better. I've also included the link down in my description, so do check it out. And I hope you guys enjoy part 2. So I'm now going to go through how I did my jobs, or how I got through that day, okay? So as soon as he left, I was like, right, I need to know what I need to do first. So I took a sheet of paper, went through all the notes, which actually took quite some time actually. I just wrote down, okay, patient 1, jobs, this, and this. Patient 2, this, and this. So I wrote down all the jobs, looking at the plan that we made for each of the patients. So then I had 2 sides of an A4 sheet of paper. I had that many jobs. That day, I feel like there were so many phone calls, so many referrals, so many scans that needed to be ordered. Yeah, I think it was one of the busiest days. Like, out of the 2 months that I've been working, I still think my first day was one of the busiest days. So yes, so now I have a whole list of jobs, and then I needed a computer to work in. But in order to work a computer, I needed a login, okay? So then I go up to the student nurse again and I'm like, hi, do you mind if I use your login today? Because I don't have any logins, I need to sort that out. She was like, yeah, fine, that's okay. So she logs me in. I find myself a desk with a phone, which is a rare entity, can I say. Like, on my first day, a lot of people were not in, hence why I got a computer and a phone next to me. I will rant about that in a different video, but for the purpose of the video, let's just say I had a phone and a computer with me, which made the day so much smoother than it could have been. So I had my own computer, I had a phone next to me, so I was like, right, I've got all the tools I need. Now I just need to figure out how to do these things. So every 2 seconds, I kept running to one of the nurses or anyone I could find, and I kept asking, how do I do this? How do I call this person? How do I call that person? What do I say? I just had to work through it step by step and figure out how to do it on my own. Yes, I went there to shadow and to learn these things, but ended up having to learn it on my own. To be honest, I feel like I learn a lot of things when I do it on my own. So maybe in hindsight, yeah, it was a good thing. In summary, I did figure out how to do all the jobs. So while I was doing my jobs, okay, I had nurses come over to say, oh, so-and-so patient, he's really confused, he's not letting me take blood cultures from him. Can you do it? And the thing is, I don't know how to say no. Okay, I think there is an art to saying no, and I think I'm getting better at it, but at that point I just didn't know how to say no, so I kept saying yeah, I'll do it, and then I'll leave my jobs and then I'll go do the blood cultures, and then I'll come sit back down. I had another nurse come up to me and say, oh, so-and-so patient's really difficult to get a cannula in, can you come and do it? And I'm thinking, you've got years and years of experience. I am 100% sure they are literally experts at putting cannulas in compared to me, okay? So I'm thinking, well, you couldn't get it in. What makes you think I can? I think as soon as you become a doctor, you're just expected to be the person where things are escalated to. Because I felt like as nurses who've been doing this day in and day out, surely they know how to do it. Like, they are the experts at putting a cannula in. And me, who's just graduated, first day on the ward, I didn't know how I was supposed to get a cannula that a nurse attempted a couple of times and couldn't get it. But again, I didn't know how to say no. So I'm like, of course, yes, I'll do it. And I just had to, like, before, obviously, as a medical student, I feel like we try putting a cannula in once or try taking bloods once, and as soon as we can't, we're like, right, now I'm gonna go and just tell them I can't do it. Whereas becoming a doctor, the one main difference is there's no, I can't do it, so I'm just gonna, ask the doctor to do it, because you are the doctor, okay? So I tried it once, it was really difficult, but instead of feeling like, oh, I can't do it, I have to now escalate it, I was like, no, I've got to try my best. It's not just you look at the vein, it doesn't seem, it doesn't seem like you can put it in, so I'm gonna give up without trying. You can't do that. You're the doctor, they're expecting you to put that in. So then I was like, right, first time the cannula didn't work. So it was also on an IVDU drug user, so their veins are pretty horrible, like you just can't find any. But I was like, right, I have to do it. I think I just had to tell myself I can do it. Like, they're expecting me to do it because I'm now the doctor, so I have to. And I guess what? I did, okay? So I put the cannula in, go back to doing my list of jobs. So I'm doing my jobs, okay? So I kind of got the hang of it. I'm like, right, I'm just gonna make these calls. I'm gonna bleep them, wait for them to bleep me back. Then kind of, you know, it was difficult because I wasn't really used to, you know, calling. I hated phone calls, okay? I don't know how many of you out there have the same kind of feeling as I do. I strongly hate calling people. I'm much better at it now. 2 months down the line, that's all I do day in and day out. But initially I just hated it. So it was such a struggle for me. Like every time I had to pick up the phone and like speak to like the rheumatologist, I would be like, oh my god. A part of me was like, don't pick up. But yeah, they ended up always calling back, which is actually a good thing because I got my jobs done. But yeah, phone calls. I made all my phone calls. I'm like working through my list. I'm ticking it, but it just felt like a never-ending list, you know? It was just like I'll do one job, but then the person on the phone would give me another job. Do you know what I mean? I'm asking for advice during a phone call, and they'd be like, yo, do this and this. And I'm like, right, adding to the list of jobs. So then, guys, I am working through my list. It's well past lunchtime. I didn't know at what point I can kind of be like, right, I'm going for my lunch. Because I have a lot of jobs. In my head, I'm like, I can't leave, not do these jobs. Like my consultant's gonna come back at 3:30. I need to have all the jobs done by then. That's my mentality at that point. So I didn't go for lunch and I'm starving. I kept going because I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get the jobs done and then I can go for lunch. And I'm thinking only a couple more things to do. The jobs just never stopped, okay? It just kept coming at me and coming at me. And then finally, my consultant arrived as promised. So he came around 3:30 and he was like, oh, Priya, how's it going? And a part of me is like, well, you left me here to do a whole lot of jobs and I didn't know how to do it. So like, but the other part of me was like, right, I need to tell him everything I've done. I was like, right, so patient 1, I've done this, this, and this. For patient 2, I've done this, this, and they said so and so. And I think I just went through everything, like, one by one, and he was just like, okay, yeah, that's okay, so why don't you do this? And I think by the end of it, I just felt so much calmer because it seemed like I was doing something right, because he didn't say, oh, why did you do that, or why didn't you do this? Like, he kind of agreed with everything I said, or he seemed happy with everything that I had done for that day. So that obviously gave me like a good you know, it just felt good, and I just had that boost of confidence. I was like, right, so I am doing something right. I can do this whole doctor thing. So the consultant leaves, and here I am just, you know, doing the rest of my jobs. But just to add that cherry on the cake, something had to go wrong. So I'm sitting there at the desk doing my, you know, doing the jobs, and one of the nurses runs over to me and goes, oh, doctor, are you the doctor looking after that bae? And I'm like, yes, that's my patient. Oh, the patient's blood pressure is 190 systolic. Like in med school, you learn a lot of conditions, okay? You do a lot of exams. You do a lot of OSCEs, and you think that will prepare you for this moment when a nurse runs over to you and goes, this patient's blood pressure is super high. What do you want to do? And I was like, okay, why don't you check it again? That is exactly what I said. I told her to go check it again. And she was like, okay, yeah, I can do that. She goes off, and at this point I'm thinking, what should I do? And then the one thing that I remember was ABCD assessment. Just do an ABCD assessment. So I was like, right, I'll do an ABCD assessment, because at that point I know how to manage hypertension. You know, I know the stages of hypertension. I know what medication you put them on. But when someone's blood pressure was acutely high, I'm like, what do I do? I go in to examine the patient. So I look at their airway and B, and then I just go through the ABCD, examine the patient, and I'm like, right, I was like, have you redone the blood pressure? What is it now? And she was like, it's 180. And I was like, wow, I've seriously got to do something. So at this point, I'm thinking, right, patient's blood pressure is rocket high. It's not budging, okay? I look at her medications to see if she's on anything, and she wasn't on anything. So I'm like, right, I'm going to prescribe her amlodipine. And I had made up my mind. I was like, I'm prescribing her amlodipine. So I go onto the stat dose on the front of the page, and I prescribe amlodipine. And I'm thinking, wait, I should really double check with someone. So I run over to find the other doctor on the other side of the ward, and I'm like, right, this patient, blood pressure is not budging, it's just super high, what do I do? And then, bless him, he was so nice, and he was like, right, that's okay, calm down, like, I'll come see the patient. I was like, thank you. I literally just felt like giving him a hug at that point. So he came over and he was just like, yeah, give her some amlodipine. And I was like, wow, he just agreed with my plan. I was gonna give her amlodipine. So we prescribed her amlodipine, and that was that. But trust me, that point when someone comes up to you saying, this patient's musing high, this patient's heart rate's going up, those are the times that I dreaded the most, especially on my first day. I mean, for you, it might not seem that scary, but for me at that point, because the nurses were looking at me to provide a solution to treat that patient, my consultant had left, I had no one to turn to, that was pretty scary, okay? And I'm just so thankful for the SHO who was present at that point on the ward, because if it wasn't for him, I think I would have collapsed myself. My blood pressure was 200, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I was able to manage that patient. So yeah, then I carried on with my jobs, you know. In between, I had to go prescribe other things. I had to go see different patients, because on that day, I just felt like everyone was just, something was going on with everyone. You know, it was just so busy that day. It got to 5:45, okay? I was supposed to finish at 5. It got to 5:45 and I still had jobs left. And I was at the verge of collapsing because I was starving, and I think I was having a hypoglycemic episode. I just started like feeling like as if I've got palpitations, and I was like, right, I have to stop. Like, I don't think I can carry on any further, because I hadn't even had anything to drink. Okay, horrible. Like, tip number 1, guys, have breakfast. Make sure you go for your lunch. Make sure you drink water. And these are things that I just didn't do, okay? Basic things that I wish I had done. I just went over to the SHO on the other side, and I was like, listen, like, I was supposed to be shadowing today. I'm not even supposed to start work today. I still haven't finished a couple of jobs. I don't think I can stay any longer. And he was like, oh, that's fine, you know, pass it over to me, I'll do it. And he just took over the jobs, and I left. So I can now say I looked after all those patients on my first day, and I left and all those patients were alive. And I think that just speaks for itself. And I came back home in one piece. So yeah, that was my first day on the ward as a doctor. And even though it was horrible and I felt so scared and nervous all throughout the day, and I was on my feet or like doing something for every second of those 9 hours that I was at work, I loved it. I don't know what it was about that day, as scary and horrible as it was, I loved every second of it. And I just learned so much on that day. Like, going back Monday for another shadow day, which I just didn't have shadow, okay? I just didn't have any time to shadow anyone. I was just expected to just start work straight away, but I would not have it any other way. I just feel like I learned so much over the first day. Forget the 3 days of shadowing. I just learned so much on my day 1. I just felt so much more prepared. I just felt so much more confident, because I felt like my consultants trusted me to look after the ward. They trusted me to get on with the jobs. And that in itself for me is like, well, if they think I can do it, and I managed to do it for one day, then I probably can do it. You know, it was just that I had that extra confidence coming home that day. And I feel like I was just thrown into the deep end. I pushed into the deep ends, but I came out stronger. I came out alive, okay? So from looking after 2 whole bays and side rooms, I feel like now I can look after the whole ward on my own. It's a learning curve, like, it's a learning process. Every time you're thrown into the deep end, you actually come out so much stronger, so much more confident than you began with. So it's exciting. Like every day I go into work, I'm excited for what I'm going to learn. I'm excited for all the deep ends that I'm going to be thrown in at. It feels horrible when you're going through it, but when you look back, you're like, wow, I learned so much, you know? And if you'd like to also know about what I get up to on a daily basis at work, do follow me on my Instagram, where I post regular stories on things I get up to during my shifts. Do comment down below if you've got any suggestions on any videos that you'd like me to do. If you've enjoyed this story time with me, do subscribe to my channel, because I'm hoping to release a lot more videos going through how my first day during my night shift was, how my on-calls were, the kind of things I get up to, the things I've learned, and I'll be going through a lot of useful things so you can have an insight of what being an F1 is like. They're all going to be honest entries of my experiences, and I would love for you guys to be part of our YouTube family. So if you're interested, do click the subscribe button below and do share it with your friends and families and show us some love.